DP, once again, we've got no music today, but we're feeling energized. It's been a good week and a half. You've been busy working hard, but the media has been spinning out there. Over there, let me introduce my co-host, the one himself. Go ahead.
What's up, everybody? D Pain TV, Clutch Pain, Ali in the house. Got a lot to talk about today. I see Robert's all clean cut. So we ready? How you ready for business today? Let's go.
That's right. I did my own shave. I'm like, no, I'm not spending $60 to get a haircut. All right. I got my own clippers and everything. But big news, you know, as a young man in sports development and training, I've always said all sport requires speed. And I've trained athletes that I've played in the NFL, the CFL, baseball league, different sports. And we've always educate people about the importance of doing athletics, but it's like almost knocking on deaf ears. But when someone in a different sport at a magnitude comes in and says, "Hey, you got to do track and field if you want to be a better athlete," people are starting to listen, starting to get headlines. So, what's your perspective on the importance of other sports doing track and field?
I think it's essential. We all grew up with gym. We all grew up with recess. Those are the fundamentals of every sport. You're going to run. So to not have that, would be definitely something that's going to affect you later on if you are an athlete. I think every athlete needs to do track and field in some way, because if you don't have the correct running form, if you don't know how to turn your force into sprinting forward, then or traversing left or right, whatever it is that your appropriate sport is, then you won't have the appropriate mechanics for that sport. So, when you see like Metcalf and other people come and they talk about how they can beat a track and field athlete in the sprints. You guys are the cream of the crop of your sport, granted, but still ain't got nothing on a track and field athlete as far as moving forward to the finish line. So
I absolutely agree. When those other guys, as I said, majority of the soccer players, the elite soccer players, aka football players, and other sports, they've done track and field throughout that career in their early ages, and that's how they get signed. That's how they get a scholarship, including NFLs and different athletes. They've dabbled in track and field because at the end of the day, if you don't have speed, you're in trouble. And
right.
most coaches don't have time to teach you speed. But when you're coming in with that type of speed, they can teach you the technical side of that sport. It's important that they do track and field at athleticism, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what sport you play, those have to be taught, right? And just like you said, as a child, the fundamentals are very important, and development. So you're learning explosive, muscular endurance, muscular strength, agility, flexibility, range of motion,
All of that. Yeah.
and then the overall execution of different levels of speed. Remember, different levels of speed: raw speed, foot speed, hip speed, arm speed, all the different speed that made up in the body, and then you can transition that over to other sports. So it's
Right.
important that those multi-sport athletes put this even as once a week as part of their repertoire of building. When you're thinking global, I want to be a great athlete, right? To be, and then you can add more. Now, same thing for track. They have to be able to do the athleticism to be an athlete first, and then specialize in sprinting, hurdling, throwing, or whatever it is, because those are technical things. But you have to learn to be an athlete first. And speaking as an athlete, if you didn't do track and field, what other sport you feel like you could have made dominance in and shine and cross
And
over into?
I think, man, for real though, I would have loved to play tennis. I think I would have been really good at tennis. I think because one, you don't have to run as fast as you need to, and two, it involves other things outside of running. I'm good at tennis too, golf too, just because they make so much money outside of it. And these are more sports that, yes, alongside of knowing how to move outside of golf. Well, with your swing, but having to move left or right, or up and back and all that. There's other things that come into play mental focus, studying your opponent. I think in track and field, if you're running the sprints, you're not really studying your opponent as much. You're focused on your lane because all you can worry about is getting down to the end of the line as fast as possible. Tennis, you're studying, who's got a good backhand or forehand or serve and all this stuff and where to stand and all that. And golf, same thing. And I just think that like we need to be more accepting of track and field as the beginning sport of everything. I hate when we
Amen.
get to college and you see people like in other sports talking about how much better they are than athletes who are, baseball, basketball, football, which yeah, in that particular field you might be, but I mean, you're not lining up with no track and field athletes, real talk. And another thing is that uh if you played baseball or football or basketball and you were good as a catcher or as a center or you are a kicker for a football team, like that doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing any running, right? So you can't come from that sport and come to track and field and dominate. But guess what? If you're a track and field athlete, you most certainly have an advantage over most any other athlete if you're moving to any other sport because you most certainly 80% of the time are going to have a advantage having some sprinting technique, having some speed already, knowing the fundamentals. So it'll be easier for a track and field athlete to go to another sport with that base than it would be for another athlete to go to track and field. So, I love sports, but they got to come correct.
Amen. For myself, I totally agree. The transition to other sports is easier from an athletic um, position because of all the fundamentals that you've learned early. And I'm still going to give a lot of respect if I want to go into another sport because they've been technically sound in those particular genres or sports at a high level over those years. So I'm not going to be ignorant and say, whoa, well, I can dominate this. But I definitely feel mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and athletically, I have the raw ability where I feel like as we call that designated runner in baseball, I would have been great at, right? Stealing the bases,
Right.
wide receiver slash punt return. I think I had the mental capability to move and see things to get through to the end zone. Not only that, the ability to when my quarterback releases the ball and the amount of distance that ball travels where I
You
can
can
get
go
to that
get it.
spot
You
and
can
get
go
it
get it.
and be
Right.
safe and boom
Facts.
and make another move with my agility move to the touchdown line. So all those areas I felt I have the athletic ability base work, not the football technical work or the other sports, and definitely golf, the mindset where the arm speed comes in play, the hip speed comes in play, the club speed, the weight of the club, the grass, the wind, the ability from my athletic background to understand and study those, to transfer that type of knowledge into those sports. I feel like I have the raw ability where I can, within a year or two, start making moves, making money moves, as the young folks would say. So
Man, you sound like
absolutely.
you know what you're talking about, man. Just a
That's
little
why I'm
bit.
over critique, my brother. I'm a genius,
I
I
like
critique
that.
everything down and break it down and bring the science with the common sense,
That's
right?
what's up.
Absolutely, other than say golf and tennis, what with your height and stuff, would you think you would have made a great basketball player or a football player?
I mean, as what? I mean, I'm barely 6 foot. I don't say I'm 6 foot, but I'm probably one of the shortest hurdlers uh, in the last 10 years for sure. And I think my speed would have been done me well. I'd have been like Muggsy Bogues running around with hops. But I mean, you got 6'4" guards out there. I wasn't doing nothing with that. I could dribble, I could shoot, but I didn't have a perimeter shot like I needed
Yeah,
to be as small as I was.
yeah.
Football, Ezekiel Elliott is out there. I could have been like a Ted Ginn, people out there who was still beastie and barely 6 foot or 6'1", but it would have been very bad on my body. I probably would have had a shorter lifespan in the sport. And, I even broke my femur and probably still had a longer lifespan in track and field than I did in football.
Yeah.
with less repercussions. So, but yeah. I don't know about basketball. Probably would choose baseball over basketball or football, but a less violent sport where I don't have to do as much running. So, what about
I'm
you? What
watching.
about you?
Um, I still like to maybe dabble in golf and tennis. I think I'd be good at getting to the net, the strategic, the move, my agility. I teach a lot of other sports, and with those raw ability, I'm still gonna have to demonstrate. And I'm like, oh, it's not bad for an old man,
Right.
learning the technical side. But definitely, after my athletic retirement, I wanted to try those. It's never too late because
Right.
I still want to go up to that world record, 50 over 50 in a 50-yard dash. Because I've ran in my youth, I've ran some of the fastest 40-yard dash, not on a global stage to be advertised, but back then we didn't have social media where I'm running 3.74, 3.9 in a 40-yard dash,
Right.
right? So you need to call Pinball Clemens, a couple of those coaches for the Canadian League, because those guys test me on grass, running 3.9 on the grass. I didn't want to lace up my track spikes.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
just to give you an idea, that type of speed. Cito Gaston, same thing with baseball. And when I went over there, I said, hey, maybe like to try baseball. And they're like, let's do a little measurement between the bases. And between the bases, I'm locking 2.7. So they're like, whoa, pinch runner, we got a pinch runner here.
I
But I
see.
chose
I
track and
see.
but I chose track and field back in those days when I was in that prime age because I felt that was my love and passion, a fascination for speed. But I think
Right.
if I did it for money, I definitely would have went the other route and play another sport.
But
Now, when we look at it, sorry, go ahead.
I think that I think that just the simple I think most people do understand the fact that track and field is in the fundamentals of most sports. So I mean it'd be absurd to think that you could, come out of a sport where you're not running as hard as you can to the line. You're doing other stuff that you could beat somebody who's doing that. So,
Yeah.
it's like it's like we lift weights for track and field, but we're not going thinking we can beat a Olympic weightlifter. It's like there are levels, like you said. So
Yeah. So there's been a lot of excitement on Instagram with Tyreek and Bolt going back and forth in conversation. Is starting to picking up airwaves like about to break the internet like the Kardashians. But at the end of the day, I think they want Bolt asked Tyreek if he's willing to put his Super Bowl rings on the line. Maybe Bolt will put one of his medal on the line to see who's the fastest 40-yard dash.
listen,
What's your
first
thoughts
of
and
all,
conversation into that excitement of
come on, man.
dialogues?
He loves that Super Bowl ring too much to put that Super Bowl ring on the line. And second of all, Usain Bolt has way more gold medals to lose than he has Super Bowl rings. So let's just get that one thing straight. Not to say that he is not a beast in his own right, but come on, man. I'm pretty sure he could get a couple of other people to put their Olympic medals up against his Super Bowl ring in the odds of Usain Bolt beating him in a race. I mean, what race was he talking about? Maybe the 30-meter yard dash, maybe not even that. So I don't know. I have to take him up on that.
Well, definitely, as a man that has run 3.7 before in a 40-yard dash, I challenge any football players out there, anytime, anywhere. No, I'm retired. I haven't touched a track in 10 years, but give me
He's
six
coming out of
weeks.
retirement.
Give me
folks.
6 weeks of preparation for that challenge, and I'm pretty sure I'll be the fastest man on the NFL team. Right? Give me 6 weeks, folks. I'm a speed doctor for a reason. I don't play around.
I'll be with you. I'll be right with you, man. I'll look out for you. I'll have your ice ready with your Pedialyte, all of the good stuff.
Give me the doctors, give me everybody after the race. Because you know what's going to happen? It's like a 54 Chevy. It's sitting in the garage. You just click, 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 get some bolts and stuff happening. And then boom, I get that nice 40. And then after that, boom, falls off.
He did his job, though. It did the job.
But definitely out of shape Bolt and Tyreek, it would be a very close 40-yard dash. Not being fit and being a football guy that's fit, I think that's equally matched. But you can't come up to Bolt, who's fit shape, against Tyreek. It's like night and day. But out of shape
Yeah.
Bolt and an in shape Tyreek, we might have some good social media, some good,
Man, this the
challenges.
thing.
And
Before you even get to Bolt, you need to like holler at some other people though. Holler at Andre DeGrasse. Holler at
no, it can't beat Andre.
Fred
Andre's in
Curley.
shape, man.
Listen, anybody who was at the Olympics, like anybody who made the finals, like it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough for that guy.
No, but he needs someone that's retired already. It makes it more,
All
competitive.
right,
Because
you got my vote.
You can't get someone in shape in the season. That's a different
That's
beast of
true.
speed.
That's true. That's true.
It's not like 1, 2, 10 yards, 1, 2, 10 yards. I'm talking, whoop, it's over, man.
Right.
You blink, you even catch a cold along the process. That's how fast. Well, keeping on the theme of track and field, a lot's been happening in the female section. The world's fastest woman, Eileen Hara Thompson. No, with the coaching situation, the moving of coaches, she's now gone independently. She's working with her husband. She didn't show up for camp at MVP. No longer Stephen Francis. Also in the mix of her coaching staff will be the great Bert Cameron, the 400-meter world champion. What do you think of that combination with her husband and Bert guiding her to hopefully a world title and a world record? Do you think she's got the right team? Did she make the right move? What's your thought process?
Honestly, do what you do, Elaine, because at this point, you know what needs to be done. It's not so much that, like, I'm not going to say like don't leave your coach, because again, I feel like people leave coaches for different reasons. If you're leaving because you're the shit now and now you want to go to someone else, that's the bad reason. But if it's not happening for you, regardless if you're doing bad or well, you need to be somewhere where you're happy. I'm not sure, like, I know you gave me the rundown, but I'm not sure how well her husband is going to coach her, like what their relationship is. But if anybody could do it, it would be her. I mean, she's the closest woman ever to Flojo's record, and she's ran 10.6 multiple times. So I just feel like if anybody knows how to do it or will have the blueprints for it, we just need to watch and see what happens. But instantly we'll know next year as soon as she opens up whether or not she made the right decision.
Well, David, you said a key word here. She has the blueprint. If she's kept her diary, and I tell all athletes, keep your diary. If something should happen to that coach or that trainer, you spend money on it. That is your blueprint for success. I've coached myself to an Olympic gold medal, so I know it can be done. She put herself around her husband, who's got some coaching experience, and also he knows her and he's been watching behind the scene what's going on. So with her blueprint, you can look at previous injuries, previous log of competition, all the stuff that she's doing, and help navigate back through that process and just fine tune anything that's needed. And with Bert on team with the world title of a 400-meter, so I'm expecting her base work to be on point with the blueprint that she's hopefully kept, can guide that to at least equal what she has done in the Olympics. If she's able to equal what she has done based on the template of the blueprint, it's still her world championship to win.
Right. Yeah, we're talking about the cream of the crop. Her slowest times are better than some girls' fastest times this year, over and over and over again. So she already knows what needs to happen. So you absolutely
right. So with that being in place, and then you go into Oregon, which is supposed to be one of the fastest track on the planet going forward. With the only thing she doesn't have is the Nike shoe, potentially. You know, I'm assuming she won't have the Nike backing her going in there, but it may be someone else. So, and I still don't give a lot of credits to the shoes because the person has to do the work, right? At the end of the day, you got to pull the track like a carpet to be able to travel and execute that technical piece of the race. So maybe the shoe has maybe 0.05%, if that, right? But the wind is going to play a major factor, which we know Oregon, they always move the 100-meter based on the wind and all that stuff. So overall, I'm quite confident she should at least duplicate her athletic performance wise in that setting, and with the track being there, try to attain that world record in the process. So at the end of the day, she's going to make some money. You can't be wrong, especially if she have her blueprint. Loving her is not wrong. That's why she
Right.
got her husband.
Agreed. Agreed.
And the track loves her back right now. Because sometimes you love your sport, but the sport don't love you back. With the injury
That's a
healing
fact.
up and everything, the sport is loving her back with
That's a
both
fact.
arms wide open. No,
They
absolutely.
should.
So
They should.
so when we touch on the track, there's another important issue that the Oregon ladies, six of them, have came out about body shaming and stuff like that. You know, it happens in sports. What's your thought process before I give my 2 cents in that scenario?
I would just say that it's very sensitive when you talk about the body, especially when you talk. Well, I'm not going to say especially when you talk about women, because men need to be aware of their body as well. I'm just going to say, like, there is an appropriate body height and weight for how old you are, right? And that's just by the U.S. The government standard, or the health department, the standard, right? And so then when you start becoming an athlete and you start going up and beyond that, there is also a body standard. Now, how you present to that person, what your expectations for that body standard is, that's one thing. But you can't be 10 pounds overweight, even 5 pounds overweight, complaining about how you're not getting better. And you know that it's a part of what your body is not transforming as for what your particular sport is. I've heard this story before, not just at Oregon, at many schools over the time that I've competed. And I just feel like if maybe the coach or the person presenting the situation to them was a little bit more delicate, it could come across better. Because sometimes it just needs to be said. Now, me as a track coach for my female athletes, I would never tell them, you're too fat, you're too heavy, all this stuff like that. I would bring the whole group together and talk to them as a group and just say, hey, we need to start focusing more on our body goals. We need to start looking at, who was the best athletes in the events, what their body type looked like, ours. How can we get as close to them as possible, staying healthy to get to our goals? And I think that's something that we don't do in the NCAA. And I also think at specific schools, they're a lot more sensitive, not anything against Oregon, because they are one of the best schools ever. They're Nike town, Nike school. So, but I would just say that, some schools work differently. You have Catholic schools, your Division 3s, Division 1s, 2s, all of that stuff. And some kids go harder, some kids you have to treat a little softer, but I do understand the situation. I would definitely still say something to them, because it needs to be said if it's preventing you from your goal, which is a faster time or a record or a medal. It's just a way of saying it. So.
That's right. For me, I would like to say all sport, all speed come in different sizes. I have athletes that I work with based on that sport and different things, and I said to them, can a 747 jumbo jet fly? They say yes. Can a Concorde fly? Yes. Can a small plane fly? Yes. So speed and different things come in different packages. Based on that individual, one has to sit down and do a whole plan, from diet to mental to physical to specific, sport specific, and plan out what does that look like. What does it look like for that individual to perform? Are you going to have 5 pounds of weight extra? Is it fat or is it muscle? Usable stuff. So you have to have a proper conversation, a sensitive conversation, and maybe have a dietitian bring that out as part of that performance. So it's not to go out and body shame someone. It's to have an educational, personal
Absolutely.
conversation with that individual and look at the whole picture and says, where do you want to go?
Right.
How do you want to perform? And based on you as an individual, for you to maximize this, it may require you turning that 10 pounds of overweight fat into 5 pounds of athletic muscle, but now it's going to look like 15 pounds, but you're actually faster, stronger, more explosive.
Right.
So
exactly.
is having those individualized conversation for performance within that specific sport, that specific individual, because it comes into individual growth. not necessarily overall in the team aspect of it, right? Of where you want to go. So that's how I think they should address that. Other coaches, other athletes, is to individualize those conversations to maximize the communication and the professionalism of where that individual want to proceed, and that will take
Right.
a lot better and doesn't come out as a shaming because you don't want to shame anyone, right? But you want to
Right.
have a
Right.
concrete type of a conversation.
See, we had rougher coaches. I mean, there was just a different style back then. Your coach would say, "Get your fat ass off the track because you just too big," or he would
Hey,
say, he would put in your face, "Do you think your opponent?" My coaches love to say, "Do you think Lou Shang is eating pizza on the weekend? Do you think Lou Shang, because or do you think Dayron Robles?" And I would have to hear, and it would just make me so angry that I would have no choice but to get myself together. So it's a
see the
different
difference with
tactic.
me, yeah, my metabolism, I eat so much and I burn up. I'm even in my sleep, I'm running, right? So I walk up at the world championship, no joke. I walk up on one of the world championships in the finals, and I'm having my piece of chicken on me. People like this guy's eating before a race. Yeah, some KFC. Hey,
Right.
chicken protein, baby, make you run fast. Right? And that becomes a psychological piece where I work on my opponent as well, knowing that
Right.
if this guy's eating a piece of chicken or whatever coming in the race, what the hell going on? So I'm
Right.
also psyching him out. I'm also getting my protein at the same time. You know,
Man, don't win the race because now chicken helps you win races. What's going on?
I go by the end of the race and I go, yeah, you
Chicken
can clock that,
endorsement.
boy. So yeah, absolutely. It's always a wonderful time. Speak with my co-partner, D Payne
Yes,
TV.
sir.
Looking forward to educating and sharing the knowledge and expertise. And don't forget, if you need a more personalized video individually, come and see Dave Payne and I over at Critique, and we'll break it down for you. We'll give it to you real. Many years of experience together combined. We probably have over 40 years of doctor experience in movements
Agreed.
in sports.
Agreed. Agreed. And thanks everybody for listening. This was a good episode. Always look forward to y'all listening to us and our feedback on what's happening in the world of track and field and outside of track and field.
Don't forget, leave your comments, like and post and share, and keep the dialogue going. I'm looking forward to see if Tyreek accept Bolt's offer to put his Super Bowl ring on the line. And if they need another guy in, give me 6 weeks. I'm gonna go in and tear both of them up in that 40-yard dash, right from the
Also,
speed doctor.
we'll be looking to see if Elaine Thompson opens up after changing coaches and see what that looks like for these, if she's putting in the work she did before with a new coach and the outcome. So,
listen, man, she's
look forward to
Jamaican.
that.
She's Jamaican. She's gonna put the work in. What's wrong with
Hey,
you?
I believe it
If
too.
she
I
puts a
believe it
coach,
too.
like you want to go at it, man. Don't let's go
Listen,
now. This ain't
listen,
Shakira's
listen.
conversation here. Eh? This is a Yachty
No,
conversation.
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You're right. All hail Elaine Thompson.